And these days, a lot of US inventory, so, which everybody is waiting for and don't know when it's going to come out or not. But a lot of speculation just in this week. I think everybody is so surprised.
Think will stay as it for the next month or the next month.
Hopefully, this 1st of August.
Exactly.
We have 3 weeks now, but now tomorrow we're hoping that we will get the report about the fatal crash that happened in Morocco. So, and that was a very bad one. They have to make it public as per the international guidelines. Within a month of it, they have to.
Or is somewhere done that it's not obligated to be public.
I believe because the preliminary report of its submitted as per the international agreement which India started, they have to make it public. So between tomorrow they are starting. Yes. Would you like to see some of the plans?
Okay, you just sorry,
Sure.
okay. For me, it's my fourth and last year.
You find so
Just like
very much.
it's also one country. So it's almost similar.
I almost made it to Morocco. I was in the UK for 2 years in the last 2 years. Because Morocco is nearby in the sense that it's closer than it's closer to India.
You've been there?
I wanted to, but I could never get away from Morocco.
You see, need an opportunity.
I would love to. It's just that again,
They got used to because of the rain, because of the traffic. So we thank you for coming to the Foreign Correspondent Club in this special event of having a distinguished ambassador, His Excellency Muhammad Al Maliki, the ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco, the leader of the Arab Force, and a great friends of me and India. And the, um, and I can recognize and welcome the distinguished ambassadors and head of missions from the Arab Diplomatic Corps. I can recognize His Excellency Ambassador of Egypt, Zikr Rahman, former ambassadors, Ambassador of Palestine, for our friend Adobe, Excellencies, Foreign Affairs of Iraq, Excellency Ambassador of Syria, Morocco, Syria, Libya, and former Indian ambassadors and our distinguished friends, guests, ladies and gentlemen. So we are privileged to have an ambassador. He's not only going to speak on the diplomatic and bilateral relation, but also he'll give us speak about the role of international diplomacy in constructing a good relation between countries. And I think the diplomacy and the press are the two vital institutions which have proved to be times and again that they can be together for a constructive peace, dialogue, and understanding each other's languages. Without further delay, and on behalf of the club, I welcome you, Excellency. I'm very eager to listen to your voice of you, and I would like Mr. Ketina, our senior member from the club, to introduce our ambassadors.
Well, Ambassador of Morocco doesn't need any introduction because he has been here 7 years, 8 years, and he is, by virtue of his long presence in our country, he has become the dean of the Arab diplomatic corps. So, as Ambassador may know, at the Foreign Correspondents Club, we now have a new committee, and this is our first event of the elected governing committee. And we have great pleasure in having Ambassador Maliki as our guest for this event. I don't want to say anything about Indo-Moroccan relations, which normally one does while introducing the guest, because Ambassador Maliki is going to talk about it. But those of you who may not know, it is one of our most dynamic bilateral relations and dynamic relations in the Arab world. Uh, until Sakhalin 1 and 2, which were signed during Prime Minister Vajpayee's visit to Moscow, Indian investment in Morocco was the biggest Indian overseas investment in the world in phosphates. And India is very reliant on, one of the countries India is reliant on for phosphates, which is vital for our agriculture and sustenance, is Morocco. But there are many, many aspects of the bilateral relationship which Professor will talk about. So, on behalf of the Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia, I welcome you, Ambassador, and we look forward to hearing you.
Thank you. Can I request everybody to keep the mobile on silent mode, please? So we have the format. Excellency will deliver the speech, and then we will. It's up to you. It's your show. So we have a small movie. By the time people can keep it, you can watch it, and then after that we will start. Yes. Thank you.
With sound, with sound. Lights off for me. थोड़ा सा lights off, please. लाइट्स ऑफ कर देना लाइट ऑफ कर देना लाइट ऑफ इधर की
Now's the time to ask the right questions. In any endeavor, there's always the ground and the tipping point. Ensuring stability for a high economy takeoff. People's trust towards their leaders and towards their will to uplift their societies. Investing in people to a better life. Giving an opportunity to develop their skills, their goals, and their vision to the world. Building infrastructure to connect with them and reach the world. Calling for openness and make sure you have partners to trade with. And then there is the uniqueness. It could be your history, it could be your diversity, it could be how strategically you're located, it could be your culture, it could also be your dedication, or it could be your natural resources. But first and foremost, to reach the heights, you need a vision. Great ambitions. Stay focused and stick to the plan. Build upon the assets. Value the old and embrace the new. Keep on growing talents to face challenges. Always be sure you can fuel the growth and that you have partners to overcome drawbacks together. Now is the time to be ahead. Now is the time for agility and sustainable acts. Now is your time. Now is the time to ask the right questions. In any endeavor, there's always the ground and the tipping point. Ensure
Do we have lights?
Thank you. I think we can play the tourism. There's one minute video. We can play it later. Yes, Excellency.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. It's my privilege to be here today. Sajjad said, excuse me, this was thank you, my dear friend and brother, Awad, and Honorable Senior member, and all the other members, my colleagues, ambassadors, and then correspondents. I would like to start by telling that you may be all Moroccans, in the sense that the old Ummu Haskin Homo sapien of the world has been found in Morocco fossils 300,000 years ago. It makes us 100,000 years earlier than the previous one. So somehow we're connected. Now to speak in such a short time about Morocco and Indian relations would be a very tough job, but probably I will hint into a few things which probably make us a little bit different. Not in the sense that we're different, but which sends you automatically to few things which make you understand and see a Moroccan. So this sends me automatically to one person with a great ability, considered to be one of the first anthropologists, who is Ibn Battuta, one of the finest books in his understanding of this part of the world. And I am so much astonished at the amount of understanding that the students know this person more than the Indians. I mean, they know him as a person more than they know even some politicians. Why? Because he was first in a certain time as the Qazi of Islam in India. And that gives him a great ability to be part of the society, to understand the society. He spent here not less than 13 years. Okay? Then in the whole part of this continent is almost 23 years. When he went back, he narrated what he had gone through in his travels. So when the Sultan of Morocco at that time, the Abu Inan Marid, listened to his story, told him, you can't keep these things for yourself. You need to keep it and to give it as a mankind legacy. So we told him, I don't write, I'm not a writer. He told me, no, we'll find you a writer, but you write it. So most of historians in Europe, they believed until the 19th century that all his stories were fake, were invented. But they ended up by saying that it was a very masterpiece of anthropology. Of course, this has a connection with India because it gives me automatically a link that goes back to the 14th century. And then, in fact, the idea or the question we should ask ourselves, he was obliged to write, but for those who didn't write, which he depicted himself in his book. So I believe we're connected with this part of the world as back as the 11th, 12th centuries. And then there are many references which say that the first roads of spice roads came between war from Marrakesh to Casablanca, to Kerala. That's one part. Then we have a bag of history, a gap of history, which I don't know honestly. Unfortunately, we've lost millions because there are so many of our history that are still veiled until the end of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century, when the Maharaja of Kapurthala visited Morocco at the time, and then he literally fell in love and was fascinated by the Qutubiyya Mosque in Marrakesh. So he requested the King of Morocco if he can get an architect to bring him to India and then to make a replicate of that mosque and to offer it to the Muslim community in Punjab. This is a fascinating example of the tolerance and of the communion, but also of the kind of India having as a coexisting nation between all different confessions. That mosque, you can just click Morocco Mosque in Kapurthala or the Moorish Mosque, whatever. That's also a strong link. It is one of the most attracting destinations in the Punjab. Then I am jumping again to the era of the independence. And then we established our bilateral relations diplomatically, officially in 1957, that is less than 1 year after our independence from the French protectorate. From that time on, I think we were all engaged, including Egypt and many countries, into the nine alignment movements, which helped many countries into getting their independence. Yet, I would say that we had normal relation, very cordial relation, but not that the extent which has moved a little bit upwards and developed steadily for the simple reason we were still living under the influence of the East and West blocs. India being, of course, from the Soviet Union bloc, and then Morocco being considered to be from the Western bloc. But from that time on, I would say that our relations had a setback. I think in 1985, when Indira Gandhi died, yes. Because India, under the influence, of course, of the Soviet Union and few other countries, our neighbors, and then so at that time, recognized what I call the Front Polisario, that is the separatist movement from Morocco, and then gave it a full embassy. At that time, we used normally in most cases to close our embassies when any country makes an inimical gesture. But instead, because of the status and of the relations we had with India historically, we decided to lower the level of representation but not to close it. So, which was seen with many, by many at least, that it was a very good will gesture from our side. So our relations were almost at a halt. There was not a development, steady developments of the bilateral relations until the visit of late Atari Vajpayee, Vihari Vajpayee, and soon after his visit, I skipped the details. The India withdrew its relations, and then we started with a very strong will because His Majesty undertook his first visit to Asia to India when he became king in 2001. Let me tell you that each of the official visits that the king undertakes to India, it just constitutes a very strong milestone. It changes completely the relations from various levels. So at the time, as my friend here said, that we started to think in terms of strategic relations because we helped India to reach its food security. And it was a much more political decision rather than oriented by some economic reasons, which the Indian friends understood but also appreciated greatly. From that time, the relations become steady, developing quite well, very consistent investments. Until now, the Moroccan largest public investments in all Asia is in India, in fertilizers, either through joint ventures or through heavy participation of shares in of the fertilizer companies that exist. Then in 2015, on the margin of the India-Africa summit, His Majesty had a very important and then crucial meeting with the Prime Minister Shin Modi, and the two leaders decided to elevate the relations to a level of strategic partnerships. I was lucky in the sense that I was here, first of all, as the head of Asia division, what you call here, we call their directorate. So I was part of the official visit and I knew the burden. So I was Some people even told me that few understood that I would be posted here after that visit. So while being honored to come at that time, but at the same time I had a very heavy burden on my shoulders because we decided to elevate our relations, and then that's how to materialize it through the different stakeholders, both Moroccans and Indians. So I came with armed patience, and I believe that we have gone a very long way. I know Indians like figures, so I just give you the figures. In 2015, we had like 13 Indian companies present in Morocco. Now we count more than 46 companies from different spheres, from recycling to automotive, from automotive to renewable energy, to fiber optics, and so on. In terms of trade, we moved from $1.1 billion at that time to average now of 2.5, $2.7 billion, with a peak in 2023 of $4.2 billion. With the distance that separates Morocco and then India, that's a good number. So I believe that during these years, we have been able to build concrete and then solid framework that allowed us to reach this level. But apart from the 46 companies, in fact, there are 200 indirectly involved with Morocco, and then there is a positive vision that people see it now, especially with the what's happening in the taxes with the Americans. Morocco has a free trade agreement, so it gives an ideal platform for many of the Indian companies to have base in Morocco and then to export from there to the other parts of the world, apart from the other 56 free trade agreements we had with Europe, with many African countries, with the Arab world. So economically, it's the place where to be, as the video say, it's Morocco now, the time to go there. I also believe that in Africa, the two pillars of the Arab countries, like Egypt in the east for the English side, and then Morocco from the west side for the French-speaking countries, and then Central Africa, has all its meanings to flourish. And then I am quite happy that the business community have already started to think and then to move that way. Now, if you ask me, because what I have said, you can read it everywhere and then you can find it everywhere, there is no new. On which pillars are the relations between Morocco and India? Because that is very important for me. I would say, without hesitation, the people-to-people relations. And then I have my reason to say so, because since the 60s, we have amphitheaters and cinemas that screen only Indian movies. Nothing more, nothing less. So many people speak Hindi without having touched the soil of India. They have learned by heart numerous songs. They still do it. I would call them the soft power of India in our country. Because the new generation has a different point of view because they learn at the universities, because we have futures of the Indian language. They learn the language now. And then if you go there and see, for instance, the Yoga Day, you feel yourself that you are in one of the states of India. And I think culturally that is very important between two countries because it reduces the cup of misunderstanding. The whole world now suffers from misunderstanding, and I can start from Gaza and go on. There is a complete loss of morality, if you can say. So while connecting with people, we build bridges. That is our job, like the honorable journalists. Journalists are like doctors. You want to have them as friends, but you don't want to visit them. Okay? So I believe we have a very big role to play because to take diplomacy in a very simplest way, we try to avoid war or conflicts, and then we try to bring back peace in terms of conflicts, in times of conflict. Then the second pillar I would say is the economic relations. And then, of course, if you have a very good and then high level political relations with any country, you can't stand it if you don't have very good economic relations. In terms of comparison, I would say you need a minimum level of love to get married, but you need much more to keep it going. Money. We're talking about economy. Exactly. So I think the economy has flourished and then it's moving forward. And the perspectives are very good. I need to know how much time you give me.
I think we can give you another 5 minutes
Only?
only because they are very eager to ask you more questions than the bilateral relation because we have already circulated your bilateral relation upcoming event that they wanted to hear something surprises from you. That's why we kept it for the question and answer session.
You didn't tell me this.
So let's have try. 10 minutes.
This
you
was
can go.
Okay.
It's 10 minutes.
Then maybe what would interest you is the foreign policy of Morocco. Because it remains, and then for many, relatively independent foreign policy. It has its own pillars, as all diplomats, is the defense of the national integrity. But also, Palestine stands at the center of our foreign policy. We don't speak much, but those who need to know, they know. But we have been very supportive always, and then we have never jeopardized on it. We have never bargained on that one. It's as equal as the Sahara issue in Morocco, and then the king, the highest authority of Morocco, has always said it. And then not only said it, but we constitute a very good pillar as well, and then we're helping to. I hope we will be able to bring peace, which has gone so far, which is in Arabic. I don't find in English wasmat ar on the human mankind. So it's like shameful what's happening exactly. But the second pillar I would say is the economic diplomacy soft power, but also the cultural soft power, diplomacy soft power, which is completely used and which I believe India could make use of it in that part of the world because India's ambitions are legitimate for Africa, but still there is a little bit of more effort to be done in the West Africa. So we could constitute or we could build bridges together through the initiatives, through joint initiatives for the electrification, for developments. I have always believed in two main pillars that should constitute any bilateral relations. And then they are not mine. I took them from the TICA, that is Tokyo International Cooperation for the Development of Africa. They are built as back as 1993 on the ownership and the partnership. So we need, and India can do it with Morocco, with many other countries. We need to make the African nations own their own development, to be able to use and then to add value to their products. But they cannot do it without the partnerships. And then we need some reliable, credible partners like India to help us into the wilderness through the transfer of technology, through money, through investment, name it, and then you get it. So this is quite important as a link that could make us move all together. But relations between Morocco has had recently a very important step in terms of strategic, because that is one of the pillars. The strategic relations depend also on a very strong pillar, that is what you call sensitive issues, including defense, cybersecurity, counterterrorism, on all these issues in which we cooperate very seriously and then very, very well. However, I'm proud to say that, and then it will be on record throughout history, that the first investments of India in defense exists in Morocco. So it's the first one that exists there, it's exportation. So we need this important project and milestone to succeed both for Morocco and for India. For Morocco, because it helps into enlarging its scope of industry. For India, it needs to succeed because it will give us appetite and also the trust to move forward and to make elsewhere. And I should believe that when there is a strong will, there is always a way. And then the will doesn't lack. It exists between our two nations to move forward, and I am all to you. One last thing is I'm just avoiding a question on the important issue of Morocco, that is the Sahara issue. I think it's almost in the last phase of its resolution because the world is tired with this issue. It is an artificial issue that has taken too much time, and then it's using the energy with uselessly. We can use it elsewhere. And then we need to concentrate on our development, on peace and security. There are more challenges that we are having. We presented in 2007 a very serious and credible proposal of autonomy, that's a region within the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Morocco. And I think by now we have already exceeded 122 countries which support fully this autonomy plan. On this positive note, I'm all yours, and please be soft on me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. You opened the floor for so many questions. I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Ambassador of Sudan, who has also recently joined the diplomatic corps, and also we have a consular from the Bangladesh Embassy. Welcome to the club. I will open the floor for question and answer, and I would like you to be introduce yourself, be brief, and let the Excellency answer the maximum question, please. Yes, please. Carry on. Wait for the mic.
KP Nair. I am a member of the governing committee of the FCC, but I'm also a columnist with long association with Morocco Excellency. I would like to ask you about a subject you did not speak about, but we would like to hear, which was about the FIFA World Football Cup, the last one. You know, when Morocco reached the semi-finals, India was electrified. All of India was electrified. And I remember your interview to Rajdeep Sardesai, the India Today television editor. And I'm told that it had one of the biggest viewerships because people in India were truly rooting for Morocco during the semi-finals. Could you recall some of those moments and what you felt about it? Because it was not just Morocco reaching the semi-finals. Morocco was the first African country to reach the semi-finals in the history of the FIFA World Cup. So could you talk a little bit about that experience?
That's a very good question to start with. I think the I'll probably use some of the comments of some of the commentators and journalists. But that one said it is unbelievable when other countries are playing, they are supported by their countries. But when Morocco is playing, the whole world is with them. So that's one. Second thing, somebody said the World Cup in Qatar couldn't have been as such without Morocco. And probably Morocco wouldn't have reached that level without Qatar.
Let's see.
Yeah. So the first one, it embodies a dream because we all have been used, probably educated, in a sense to reach and then to keep ourselves into a certain limit. So when countries used to go, when I say countries like all Africans, their main objective was to reach the second round. So just by thinking that, you're just limiting your own ambitions. Because you say, oh, I reached my objective, then all the efforts goes down. Something which we did not. And then it was unprecedented. Even we didn't think of it because we hardly had a new coach for 4 months, 5 months. So it was like taking another dream level in the sense that, we can do it. Finally, the other countries can do it. That is the strong message that one gives. That's one. The second one, I think we were able through the World Cup to remind all the world of the values that we have lost. The values of the family, that the round ball is already a unifying actor, unifying thing, not a disunifying. So it was a game. We saw it as a game. And then this image of all the players bringing their mothers inside, not only Hakimi, and then Boufal, even the coach himself. So that was probably reminding the Western countries with their new technologies that, in fact, you may reach that level, but you don't go with values. And that's part of the education that we have in Morocco, because I personally was reared in the sense that my father used to tell me, mind always the problems that cannot be solved by money. So in a sense, I was taught to concentrate on the value of things, not the price of things. Something which we see unfortunately less and less these days through our children. A child would like to have a Nike in his foot, even if it disturbs him, if he's not comfortable. But because he needs to tell the other that I am capable to have a Nike. Why shouldn't I teach him to have even one or 2,000 rupees if he is comfortable inside it? Those are values we should bring, and which the football, with the global message, because football is much more than a football, it's also a very global message. That's why also the Indians, not only the Indians, but everywhere, were supporting us. Last but not least, it's an aspiration which can be enlarged to other sectors. That in fact, if there is a limit to our development, it's the limit exists in us. There's always a way of exploring ourselves, but also taking the best of our things and then elevating us. So what we did, we just elevated the level, and we said that any other country, if they believe in themselves, but they should put, of course, the results is not a result because by chance. Maybe the first match would be a chance to win the second one, but later on, you understand that it is a complete policy behind the football in Morocco, including the clubs, but including very able institutions, the academy where people would go. So you produce, and then when you produce, that is the one of the best soft powers you can use. Now football is soft power. Look, who doesn't know Hakimi? And then the amount of trust he gives by, not because he's a good player. Yes, he is inventing his post, but because of the behavior I think he has, the modesty he has, which we don't see anymore for glorious people. And I don't take all the time for this. I hope we'll do much better in the next one.
Thank you. Yes, please wait for the mic, Excellency. He's coming. He's giving. We'll give you the mic.
I'm always interested about dialogue among civilizations. So I want to say something about Morocco. Due to the factors of geography, trade, and civilization, Morocco has always been this hub of dialogue among civilizations. 60s and 70s of last century, when the people of Spain did not find work, they used to come to work in Morocco. This is a well-known fact. Earlier, when there was that competence between Portugal and Spain to discover new destinations for business, the business people, the marine experts, and the political power used to start looking for a far destination in Morocco. Later on, the Navy, especially of Portuguese, wanted a big issue, so they thought of India. They went there to the Gulf, to the Sultanate of Oman. They fought, but this is a historical thing I want everybody to know. Oman was not the big game, although it was a very respectable place, also a good hub of civilization. Then they wanted to get the maps to go to India. In Oman, with the help of a businessman, a Gujarati businessman, they got the maps. Later on, they went to India. Nowadays, there is another Gujarati, a businessman. He's doing a great job in Morocco. Business, economy, investment, and many things. The last thing I want to mention is when Huntington spoke about civilizations, the area between dialogue and the clash, he mentioned that the next battle will be in the area between, I want His Excellency to correct me. Huntington spoke about the area between Jakarta and Morocco. This is another indication to say that as long as a country, you are able to understand your position politically, economy, geography, geopolitics, you could go for the future. And now, according to the small presentation, the discussion, and our readings, I think the brothers on Morocco, they know the future they are creating and going for. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Excellency. Would you like to comment?
Yeah. Because I skipped many things. I think throughout history we have had a very positive image, not because we want it to be as such, but because we are structurally positive through the crossroads of civilizations. So while being strong, Morocco has never lost any war in its history. It lost battles, but it never lost a war. And there is a high degree of fear in many of the European countries from this power. Why? Because at a certain time, Morocco was the only country which was not colonized or at least conquered by the Ottoman Empire. So the Crusaders and then the Westerners wanted to break the thorn there in Morocco to start the Crusaders, which was always impossible for them. So it represents a very strong, I would say, block for them. So in the minds of them, with our presence in more than 8 centuries in Spain. So there is that narrative that comes again and again. Then throughout history have been very long travelers, very big travelers. Abu al-Barakat al-Barbari in the Maldives in the 12th century was the man who was responsible for converting the whole of Maldives. A fascinating story which I am inviting you to read, and which connect us with this part of the world. Now they have that one day celebration of conversion, and then the mausoleum of the Abu Barakat al Barbari is in the house of the president. It's in place 0 in Mali if you go there. Then in Sri Lanka, the Muslim community there are largely from Oman or Yemen before, because they were combined, or Morocco. They are called the Marakala, because when they reached there, the Marrakesh was the center and then the capital of Morocco by the Murabitin. They call themselves the Marakala. Our honorary council there is the 35th generation of Moroccans there. In the day of Eid, if you don't have the Moroccan cap, the fez, what they call fez, you can't get inside the mosque. Something I don't know why. I told them this has nothing to do with the dress, but they keep it so dearly that if you want to get in, you should get the fez to get inside. So we are strongly linked by soft powers. Second thing, in all the Western African countries and Central African countries, we were the big traders. The gold that was exchanged in Morocco at one time, Mansour Dhabi, so much gold and then so much trade. But we have never been invaders in our minds. We have been collaborators. We always go for development, for co-development, for we grow together, and then we bring health together, but also in the kind of cooperation. So that positive image that we have throughout the world gives us probably more ability into discussions, into bringing people together. Last but not least, in the 60s, you remember when the World War, when the Germans requested for the Jews to be taken, His Majesty the King, they don't have any Muslim or a Jew or Christian or whatever else. I have Moroccans only. So that ability also of joining the wars to the practice, because normally the problem we have now, people speak much but they don't do much. But when people find in you the ability of making it, it gives you this right thing of it.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Good evening.
My question to you is that recently I read news big Indian conglomerate has set up a defense manufacturing unit in Morocco. And since with changing global order, a lot of focus is on defense manufacturing. So my question to you is that
Okay, can you introduce yourself, please, and stand up and just say it with the mic? Yeah, two more questions. Mr. Anoop, here? Yeah, you can ask the question. He's next to you, and Anoop then followed. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, my name is Tushar. I'm a software engineer by profession. So my question is regarding the renewable energy cooperation between India and Morocco. As we can see the climate catastrophe affecting both countries all over the world, how can we both collaborate? How can we both collaborate in this field for making renewable energy more accessible to the people? And what is your stand on the climate change that is happening in and around the world?
Yeah. Brother Mohammed, as a young child in Delhi, my first impression, my first exposure to the magical beauty and infectious buoyancy of Morocco came
through two classic films, Casablanca of 1942, starring Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart, and that great song by Louis Armstrong, Where There Is a Smile, and the second film, To Catch a Thief, the Hitchcock film, starring the great American actress and singer Doris Day, who sang Que Sera, Que Sera. Now, India, as you know, has the largest film industry in the world, and Bollywood tops them all. Now, what has happened, or what your government and your people propose to do in terms of film collaboration and attracting Indian filmmakers, directors, and producers to shoot in places like Marrakesh and so on, and in the background of the beauty of Morocco to project Indian films.
I asked Excellency expecting tough questions. I think he's feeling more comfortable by those questions. Let's give him some tough question, journalist. Yes, please.
I hope you are not. No, no. Maybe I'll go through this and then come back to you.
Yes.
You are calling people to be hard on me. Why? So I'll start by the first question from my colleague or my friend there. The manufacturing unit in Morocco, it's already, I think it will be operational very soon. In fact, we are ahead of time. And incidentally, 2 days back, I was in the units of Tata Tassel in Pune, where I had the privilege and honor to meet with the trainers of the trainees of the Moroccans who would go there and then start the manufacturing. That's why I think part of this question I answered it. I said that this is the first Indian defense manufacturing outside. It also answers partly to make in India for the world. And Morocco offers, here I have to distinguish two things. First of all, to have been able to convince Tata to go there means that it is a very good environment for business. Why? Because Tata Group stands largely for great values. And then, the tolerance zero in terms of corruption, intolerance zero of doing wrong things. So the message which many people and many industries have received that it is a good place to invest for the environment. That's one. I hope that this will not be the only one. And my job and all the jobs is also to work on that direction. In terms of conducive, we have dedicated zones of the defense industry because a few years back we decided to have a certain sovereignty in defense industry. And then, of course, India found also in Morocco this environment to be there. And then it gives it a very large exposure. Not only it could serve the Moroccan army, but also it could serve the African countries and then even Europe, because there is a drawing of the map of the world, in fact, and then no wise person would deny that India is becoming a global power economically, and then very soon, of course, it also will become militarily. So I think that's unit, if it comes to fruition and then has good results, will certainly have positive effects not only on Morocco but on India and then on the future of this cooperation. Tourism. I have always wondered why India doesn't receive as many tourists as it should have. Because of the number of the cultural sites they have, the diversity they have all the reasons to be there. But you know why? Because tourism cannot develop only by the rich people. The rich people, they always have their way to go and then they have their own jets. It's the massive people who can afford to go. You should be able to find a decent hotel, either 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, or 5 stars hotel. My colleague from Egypt could tell you exactly the same thing. So India needs to have more business tourism facilities, also to be able to receive the people. It has a lot to offer to people. You know, when I was in the high school, I had three wishes in my life. The first one was to visit Taj Mahal. It's one of the wonders of the world. Second, the Great Wall of China. The third one was the Congo River. I found it so big in our studies. And because I come from the South Ormond Deserts area, I thought that if we had this water, I would never have any problems with the deserts. And I managed to get these three wishes fulfilled. The first one was India. I came as a tourist in 1992. Believe me, at that time, I was moving into Delhi. I could read the book while moving in the streets, in the very little cars and then very little people. When I came back as a resident, I visited, of course, in the course of my job. But as a resident, it has completely changed. But then tourism is a very good source of income. Not only it brings you money, but also it brings you exposure, it brings you the other cultures. It also have a kind of exchange which is amazing. It's a volatile sector. Any small thing can affect it, but at the same time, it is a very good source. So, in that side, I believe there is a large scope for cooperation in terms of tourism where we can do. We already started bilaterally because we removed now this e-visa for all the Indians, in fact, without conditions. We started with if you have the UK visa or a US visa or something, but now only the Indian passport can allow you to get a new visa to go to Morocco. We saw a jump of 43% last year of the visitors of Morocco, and then we expect same number, if not more, this year. Because the World Cup, I think, has given us statistically 100 times the amount of publicity that could be done by the Office of Tourism in Morocco. So all the world after the World Cup will say, "Oh, this is a place where I should go." Maybe it reflects their hope to see the values again, because deep down we all want the values. Money comes and goes, but the values, once you have them forever. This takes me to renewable energy. I think we already collaborate with renewable energy. Let me tell you that we went renewable at the moment. No, almost no other country was moving to renewable energy. As early as the 2000, we started to build large and mega solar plants. So there was a question at the parliament: why should we spend much money on the renewable while the fossil energy is still very low? The question was picked, and His Majesty, in one of his speeches, said that that is the social responsibility for the leaders to take on. So, unless we take responsibility, the whole world will suffer, and we're suffering. Either floods or drought. We had the hardest 6 years of drought in Morocco, for instance. We are investing massively to have the desalination. We didn't have to, because in fact we affected our world differently. In COVID, we started to see the world differently. But as human mankind, we never learn from our history. We are repeating even things in a double way. So now the results, by the way, there are few of the Indian companies there. The result is now we have more than 43% of our renewable mix from energies in Morocco. We also export in clean energy partly to Europe. When the blackout happened in Spain and in Portugal, it was thanks to the Moroccan collaboration that they got back all their stations and all the things. The second thing, I'm inclined and I'm very happy to mention there is an initiative which we call the electrification of African countries. So there is a project of $25 billion of gas from Nigeria to Morocco towards Europe. It's a very important new pipeline. The idea is much more than economic, it's social and responsibility. Social, why? Because it goes through 13 countries. All those who have gas will be able to inject their gas without investing massively into the infrastructures. Because many countries have the resources but don't have the money to invest. Second thing, those who don't have will get access to energy, clean energy. And when you say energy, means development, means education, means all that comes out. And here, where I think India also can play an important role, when I mentioned to have joint initiatives, this is one of the areas where we can collaborate very frequently. So far, we have the largest solar plants in the world, I think, but others are being built now. Climate change, I remember in COP22, which was organized in Marrakesh, in Morocco, we tried as much as hard to get an agreement and then to bring people to the reason somehow. But I think we still are in a world where people who have money decide, unfortunately. Again, it takes me again to the powerful people, and I hear I'm removing my hat as a diplomat and putting it as an academician. I think that the multilateral system is in agony because when we decided to have a multilateral system to govern us, there was also an agreement for all of us to abide by at least the rules. There are no more rules. Whoever wants to decide something, they can decide. So we are in a phase, a very dangerous phase, where the logic has gone back, and then only the might, and then the sound of the fire is coming. Unfortunately, really, really unfortunately.
Anything in Bollywood?
Yes, in Bollywood. Bollywood, I think Morocco already has very big Indian industries in Morocco. I was just by chance reading last year, and I think it's an industry which brought Morocco $1.2 billion. So big productions like Game of Thrones was done in Morocco. Many people don't know. The Lawrence of Arabia, and then so many movies for three reasons. We have a very flourishing, we have a complete city dedicated to cinema called Warzazat. Second thing, we have manpower very qualified in the industry. So when people go there, they don't need to bring all the stuff because they have the technical staff, they have the electricity. Third, and very important, we seem, I'm not an expert, we seem to have one of the best lights in the world for photography. So when people shoot movies there, they don't need to transform a lot and then to process it a lot. So it costs a lot of money. The fourth thing is one of the most diversified countries because you can swim in Marrakesh literally at 12 o'clock and 2 hours you can ski. So the diversity gives this cinema the ability of shooting like if you're shooting in two different countries. Last but not the least, we have a policy whereby above $1 million investment in cinema, you get 20% to 30% return investment cash. In other words, if your movie is costing $1 million, $1 million is very less. $10 million, then definitely you will get like $3 million back to your pocket, which is a very good incentive for the people to have the movies. We are working on that. I think the idea is not out from our minds. There are already few movies, but it's not as much as we wish it to be due to the potentialities from both sides.
Yes, please. Can you just here and then talk here? Yeah. Yes, please. Take the mic. Take the mic.
Hello, my name is DK Giri and I'm a student of international politics. I think my question will be tough, Mr. Ambassador. Um, yeah, and this relates to bloc politics. You did mention that India was in the Soviet camp and you were in the Western camp. But India would like to say that we were non aligned, now multi aligned, seeking a multipolar world. Where are you now? And the related question is, you did say that Palestine is central to your politics, foreign policy, Palestine. And Palestine is heavily supported, the Israel is heavily supported by the West. How do you reconcile your alliance with the West and your support to Palestine? Thank you.
Yes, last question.
Uh, Hello, this is Tawkir Hussain. I work with Japanese newspaper. There were active considerations by the Morocco to acquire the Akash defense system from India. I just want to know what happened. Are there active talks going on between the countries about it?
Further questions? Yes. Yes, please, Priyam.
Can I ask? Okay, this again a question because all the Arab leaders are here. So this Abrahamic Accord, was one of the solutions for this conflict in the West Asia. So do you foresee a kind of spreading of this Abrahamic Accord to the other Arab countries also, like the Saudi Arabia and UAE and other countries are sort of okay with that. But do you think that other Arab countries also will be um, going in that way?
Yes, please.
The World Cup that is going to happen in 2030 in Morocco. So it's like you are saying that values hold more than money for you. But there was a case that millions of dogs or thousands of dogs were killed because there has to be constructed a stadium for the FIFA World Cup 2030. So how does that hold with the value that you said?
Question I'll be asking you the last.
Please, please. I come back to the multipolar world. So when I did the context, I was in the context of the Second World War later on. Okay? And then that's where the non-alignment movement. But to be honest, non-alignment is also an alignment in itself. Because you cannot separate yourself to the world. You cannot be independent. We are interdependent. We like it, we don't like it. We are affected by our neighbors. We can change geography. And then definitely the old powers have given us enough reasons to fight. For good reason, they know, because it keeps them us little bit the busy instead of concentrating on cooperation. Of course, when I say we're close to the Western world in terms of openness of economy, we're not depending on the West. At the time when we say the East Bloc, we know the values which were taken by the East Bloc means that the wealth is for all the community and everyone has the right and then we should distribute. No market economy, but complete, and then there was nationalization of so many things. So in that way, we were much more inclined towards the West. In fact, one of the reasons of the Sahara issue is the bloc East and West, because we found ourselves Egypt, and then later on Libya, then Algeria from the east, and then they wanted, as a monarchy, they wanted also to engage, and then probably there were two coups d'etats in the 70s to make the kingdom or at least the system there into the eastern side. They didn't succeed. None has succeeded throughout history to change us, because I think we have very strong nationhood, and the, we embrace. And then we have a very important symbol of unity, the king. I think one of the blessings, 15, 20 years back, there were so many discussions about the kingdoms and that they are not very good in our systems. But in fact, they have shown to be the most resilient. Why? Because in fact, unfortunately, the politicians throughout the world are short-sighted people. They only have decisions in terms of their limits, validity for elections. Kings, the most important thing of any king or any dynasty is to ensure the lasting of the dynasty. All right, so they look into far-sightedness. So in the movie, when you saw you need a vision. You can't have very good vision in 5 years or 10 years. We have visions, for instance, in desalination, Vision 2050, where we should be, because we expect in 250 we'll be seriously affected by drought, by the climate change, and we need to prepare ourselves. So these kind of visions, you don't necessarily have it in very short terms elections. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying a fact. That kingdoms have become a haven in the sense that they still have this unity for the nations. And then we happen to be among the two oldest nations in the world and kingdoms with Japan. So it helps somehow. Akash, I think there is no harm. You see, in exactly 2015-16, Morocco decided a very big shift in its foreign policy. It's consisted of the diversification of partners. The idea is to develop new partnerships while keeping the already existing ones. Many countries. And India came at the top of these countries because we already had very good relations, but also it offered the co-development which doesn't exist elsewhere. By the way, even in the middle of the East-West, we used to have the best relations with China, with the Soviet Union. All their presidents visit Morocco, or our kings visit them there. So being in one side or the other side doesn't mean that you completely forget the other side. So Akash, it came to the news. I learned it like you do. You do. I was part of a delegation we visited many of the installations. We were fascinated by many of the products, and then Akash was among the products we saw. So we are an open country. We never know. In the kind of diversification, something may happen. I can't say honestly, because that goes beyond my capability. When it comes to defense, there is another track that's, and then here is my defense attaché can tell you it's another track. But I wouldn't mind, of course, because we are already collaborating in many ways in defense industry. Abraham Accord, that's a very good question. Of course, I can't speak on behalf of the other countries. But already those who have it, I believe that's almost there is a halt. When we resumed, because Morocco didn't have relations with Abraham, we reactivated our relations with Israel. But there were, from both sides, somehow like an agreed something to do to reach peace. How can this Abraham Accord bring peace? And of course, with what's happening in the world, unfortunately, maybe we can discuss privately, because in public I can't say a few things. But definitely, what's happening now has sent, or at least given a very serious message to many countries to take time and then decide. You can't get it without anything. There should be a second gate, I believe. I don't know. What I know is that even for us, we literally slowed down a lot of the relations between the two. And once again, on a personal point of view, it's completely unacceptable what's happening there. So let's see when we reach some good agreements very soon. In 2030, about the dogs, I think there are many countries who are victims sometimes of very good propaganda. It is meant by others. I think we made it very public. If you go there, you will find this is a very serious one because the government has been involved. But if I send a message right now, any message about India on the social media, bad news travel fast. Okay, good news never travel. They stay where they are. But bad news travel fast. I think we need to have a serious, responsible social media in the world because I cannot deny that there are few exactions, like everywhere. But believe me, the treatments that the dogs have in the big cities is very serious. And then we did a communique already at the embassy because the India was the second country which picked that fake news and amplified it because of the scale of the country. But we suffer daily, I think, 43,000 attempts of cyber attacks in Morocco every day. That the Ministry of Defense register. So when such an information comes, you need to verify it first. You need to have proof of it. But it is coming from, I wouldn't say our enemies but people who don't like the kind of development that Morocco is having. It can happen anywhere. You have witnessed it. You have lived it as well. And then not everybody would like to have good things for you. What you need to have a strong front, internal front, and you need to just be able to say when it is wrong, how to address the wrong things. Because the idea is not to fail or to not to succeed. The idea is not to try to mend what is wrong. And I think we have done quite a lot about these things, including very good shelters, including I have my wife's, my brother-in-law's daughter. I have now a quantity of medication that she bought for the errand dogs in Morocco to treat them. It cost her $400. Nobody would give it to her, but her example are numerous. So you can have all these kind of things, and then you can have other side of the things. But it is completely a fake news about the killing of the dogs because the number which was given is 6 million. Okay, can you imagine 6 million dogs? We don't even have 1.5 million or 2 million. So there is some logic behind everything. All right.
Thank you, Excellency. I think I'll save the last question for myself. Okay, I'll take one last question from you before I close up.
His Excellency, my name is Ashwini Sharma. I'm a management advisor by profession. I have office in Tunis also, and we tried Tunis. Okay, and I just wanted to know about the pharma sector in Morocco, because I've been working with a couple of pharma companies, and they showed interest in North Africa, and I even planned this year beginning and visit to Morocco, but got cancelled due to certain reasons. But we are certainly having active plan to go to Morocco and work out something there as well. One is that, and the other area is that IT. So these two areas, if you can throw some light, so that will be thankful to you.
In Morocco. It's very important to mention it. But also we have the presence of many Indian companies from the pharma sector. But they are getting more interested. Why? Because we have decided to enlarge the insurance and then medical coverage. So every Moroccan, every citizen will have the coverage from the government if he doesn't have his own coverage. That gives a very large basket for the pharma to work. That's one of the problems we have. Please.
So basically, specifically, I wanted to ask about the API, the raw material for pharma industry.
I can't be a diplomat and then know technicians all these
No,
things.
just asking, just to know.
No, I think the best way, you have my economic counselor with
Okay,
you,
I'll talk to you.
and then you get in touch with him. But I think the new policy of the ticket, we realize that the government cannot do everything, so we are now opening up for foreigners as well. The IT, I think there is a serious, very good collaboration already between Morocco and the IT, and then there are a few IT companies there outsourcing, like HCL and then a few others. But above that, we have what we call an excellence center for the African development. So it is built by Morocco and India in Casablanca for the training in IT sectors, for the trainings. I was there when I was in Secretary of the Asia department at the time. So it's quite going on. Few others are also interested in to go in that.
Excellency, one of the so yes, Ajay, you want to ask? Okay. Mike, did the mic?
Kamata Al Safir, Ana Sahafi, Dr. Ajay Kumar Pandey. My question is, we are traditionally very old relationship, but Morocco stand on the Operation Sindoor and on Kashmir has been highly disturbing. And unless and until these two basic issues are not addressed, people to people connects or the business relationship we are asking for is somewhere questionable. Shukran. Is questionable. Whatsoever business to business relationship, tourism, youth exchange, promotions, we are talking, unless and until these two basic issues, your stand on Kashmir, your stand on 370, and the recent Operation Sindoor has been highly disturbing for India. How you see it? Is there is any change in perspective of the government of Morocco?
I think probably it has been disturbing to you, but probably not for the India. We keep regular discussions with the Indians. They know exactly where we stand. We have condemned from the first ones the terrorist attack. We do it. We are among the front countries in counterterrorism. Then I think, honestly, India and Pakistan decided to solve this problem bilaterally. We let them decide bilaterally for the issue to come. Morocco doesn't have. Morocco will have always the good offices if it is asked to. But otherwise, we have our lines, red lines in foreign policy, not to mingle into other internal relations. We respect, and then it's one of the doctrines, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations. And then we have always been positive. And believe me, if what you say is true, you wouldn't have seen in the newspapers the big visit, which unfortunately didn't take place only for some technical reasons. Because when you reach this level and then you want the big dignitaries to travel at the level of the PM for your country, if what you said was true, this would have never been come out to the news. Thank you so much.
I think I will ask you not a question. I just want to know about there's a music concert you are having in Delhi, and most of our members would like to have this idea where it is, what will be what's happening. And I just wanted to add one small question, Excellency. Morocco has been in the heart of the Palestinian problem. And they have always taken the Jerusalem as one of the issues that been handled by Morocco. The current scenario in West Asia give us a very bleak picture of the future, not only for Jerusalem, but the whole of Palestine. I mean, the continuous war on Gaza, the destructions, the provocations have taken place, it makes every Arab country think twice before normalizing relation with Israel. How Morocco sees the future of Palestine and the current scenario happening in the Israel total annihilation of Palestine?
I'll start by the second question, and for me it is a very big question because we haven't yet found what is the real solution. And I can't pretend to say something. The only thing I say is that shame on us for what's happening. And then definitely in بعد العسر يسر, there will be definitely a moment, and then the ambassador of Palestine cannot agree more. There are phases in our lives. What I like in the Palestinians, and it's a lesson of study, is the resilience, because they have always, the others have always thought that by brutalizing, by using all this force, they will be able to curb people. They would not, because for a simple reason: one fights for legitimacy, one fights for the land, which doesn't belong to. The history doesn't have two phases. I have always believed that many of our questions could be solved through history. Why, when you go to school, they'll tell you those who ignore history will condemn to repeat it. We are repeating the history, and I'm sure that وَمَا الْغَدُ بَعِيدٌ, tomorrow will be much better. There are a few things for which we cannot do anything, because when you see, no, this is too much online. I cannot say
We are
this.
off now.
No, you are not off. I can see that you're still on. But all what I believe, I think that there is at least very common stand, very strong from all the Arab world. Whatever they have tried to divide, when it comes to Palestine, I think there is no single person in the Arab world who is not willing to die for it. It's not only to fight, to die for it. And that's completely something we have inherited from our forefathers, from our generations. Palestine has always been there, and I believe it will always be there. Kariha man kariha.
What about
It
the
is
people?
online, I don't mind.
What?
Look, every country looks at. Yeah, yeah.
You said you were very sensitive to Palestinian rights.
Yes,
As sensitive as to Polidoro or Sahara issue.
yes.
I was a junior reporter in ABU. But Prime Minister came, I think he was brother-in-law of your king at that time.
You take the mic, please.
Prime Minister of Moscow came, Morocco came at that time, just to persuade Rajiv Gandhi not to recognize Polidoro. But he did it. Later on, you downgraded your relations with India. But in this case, you are maintaining relations with Israel. You have recognized it and given total. You have not taken even one initiative, at least to snap ties or recall your ambassador from Israel. You should have done that. That should have been small gesture in support of Palestine.
I I believe that nobody will tell any country the rights for their interests, but maintaining a thread of discussions is always for dialogue. What's happening is beyond what you ever imagine. It's not a country or the others. It is much more about persons. We don't have an ambassador, by the way, in Israel. We have a very low representation, and there is no comparison with what's happening in Morocco. Please don't make this amalgam with the yeah, exactly, with the Sahrawis. So I think every country is sovereign to take its own policy, but you never say all what you do, and but those who should know what you do, they already know it. And when I mean the concerned people of Palestine know exactly the value of Morocco, what the king does for Palestine without a word, without the help, how much we try to help in our limits. when with the full blockage, Morocco was the only country to be capable of getting the aids. And then sometimes you say, when in Arabic, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's few things which happen. I'm sure that the time is a healer for many things, but the price, what would be the price? That is the question. The soonest we solve this problem, I think the better the world will be in the future.
What about the music concert? True.
Yeah, I think on the occasion of the celebration of the enthronement day of His Majesty, this time I'm bringing a very prominent musical Andalusian group, which is partly of Sofi, which is partly of the Kawali in your side, for instance, somehow. We probably can think of some fusion between the both music and the others. It will happen either 28th or 29th. I was surprised that most of the auditoriums we want are full. Honestly, I knew that there are so many activities, but I didn't know there are so many activities in this particular month of rain. So yes, you're most welcome, and then we'll be informing you. I will send the notes once it is decided for the place. You are. Will be happy to host you for a lovely evening. In the sense that we need to nourish the soul also from time to time. On these good notes of music, I thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you,
And
Excellency.
for tolerating me.
Thank you, Excellency. I think we will be having you many times in this place because there are lots of good functioning taking place in Morocco, and you are quite active ambassadors here, and I have seen all your upcoming events. And before I give the mic to my colleagues to say the vote of thanks, we have to honor you with the honorary cards, memberships of the club, that you will be now honored to be a member. You can come anytime. Your staff can join as members, but because we are opening for diplomats. So you are first ambassadors of the Arab League to take an honorary membership from our club. Mr. Nar will hand over to you the card.
Please. Can you sit down for a while, please? Can you just come here? Oh, sorry, please.
Card is there. And,
Oh, this is really very kind of you. Thank you.
And Amitabh will give you the flower, a bouquet of flowers.
Thank you, Amitabh. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you. Have a seat. Before we close, you wanted to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I was speaking about the contribution of Morocco to mankind because it happens that the oldest functioning university by the UNESCO is in Fez, built by a lady, and those who question the role of ladies in the Muslim world, this is a very good example. I have here very rare documents which I want to offer to the club. It is the oldest veterinary and human medicine degree in the world, delivered by this university in 1207. So you are impatient to get it. So here it is. And confirmed by UNESCO, and then the original is on the leather written. Of course, it is in the Louvre in France, because the family which had it maybe didn't know the value of it and then sold it.
Thank you, Excellency.
So this is a rare document which you can have.
Thank you. We'll be proudly having it in the club also.
It is the oldest degree ijaza in the world delivered in medicine and veterinary.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Excellency. Yes,
so
Mr. PM Narayanan will do the vote of thanks before we go for breaking for beverages and soft drinks. Yes, please.
Thank you, Excellency Muhammad Malik, coming here. It was a beautiful evening. You just give us a history of this relation between these two countries, and however hard we tried to be, soft and very subtle questions, we will end up asking very hard questions if you come up to this region and that we see here. And thank you for coming and giving this perspective to this whole issues. and we have dignitaries from Sudan, Egypt, Palestine, Syria, Iraq, and even from Bangladesh. Thank you for coming, and I hope you will be coming again here. And my colleagues are here. Thank you all for coming and having this evening. And we have some tea and snacks outside. Please join us for that. Thank you so much.
And
Just to add,
Excellency got us also sweet from Morocco, especially for this occasion. Thank you, Excellency.
Just to add, Your Excellency, since you've come with the Arab delegation as a foreign correspondents club, we would like to invite you more often. And if you have any curtain raiser or any function to showcase the art and culture of your country, this place could be your small window. And we would like to work very, very closely with each one of you graciously.
I will be honored. I have always had very special and respect for all the journalists. Do you know it? We had relations. We didn't meet as often as possible, but I was honored to be with you today, and I was happy with your questions. I wouldn't say they are tough, they are legitimate questions because they question us. The idea is not to stop questioning ourselves when we do wrong things, how to resume to the right path. And then on these words, I invite you for the tea. And then thank you so much for staying with me until the end, which I am fully aware of the difficulty to have it. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.